Now, food webs. Food webs, we discussed about it in the last lecture. Food webs show how plants and animals are interconnected by different paths. Now, when we spoke about food web, it is actually a detailed interconnecting diagram which shows the overall food relationship between organisms in a particular environment. This concept of food web previously was known as food cycle. It was known as food cycle, and it is the this person called Charles Elton who first introduced it in his book Animal Ecology, published in 1927. He is basically considered one of the founders of modern ecology. Here, the food web, as we said, it's an interconnecting diagram that shows the overall food relationship between organisms in a particular environment. It can be described as who eats whom diagram that shows the complex feeding relationships for a particular ecosystem. Now, with this example, we'll understand what does this mean? Why is it called who eats whom diagram? And why is it called complex feeding relation? The trees produce acorns which act as food for many mice and insects. Because there are many mice, weasels, and snakes have food. The insects and the acorns also attract birds, skunks, and opossums. With the skunks, opossums, weasels, and mice around, hawks, foxes, and owls can find food. They are all connected like a spider's web. If one part is removed, it can affect the whole web. So, food webs show how plants and animals are connected in many ways to help them all survive. Now, in food chains, as I discussed, they follow just one path, that is, one single path of energy as animals find food. Look at this food web. Food chain, as known, it involves the transfer of energy from green plants through a series of organisms with repeated stages of eating and being eaten. Food web, it is in a natural community, the flow of energy and materials is much more complicated than illustrated by any one food chain. Actually, food web can also help us study and explain how the diversity of species is related to how they fit within the overall food dynamics. They give us some critical information about the relationship between invasive species and those native to a particular ecosystem. Now, since practically all organisms may be consumed by more than one species, many interactions occur along the food chains of an community. Now, what are the food web interactions? The food web interactions are, now if you take in case producers, plants, the energy of the community is derived from the organic compounds in plants. Grass in the web above. Primary consumers, always a herbivore, feeds on plants, mice, grasshopper, and rabbits in the web above. Secondary consumers, always a carnivore, feeds upon other consumers, frogs, sparrows, snakes, and foxes. Omnivores may be primary or secondary consumers. Decomposers, they break down organic waste and dead organisms to simpler substances. Example, bacteria or decay. Through decomposition, chemical substances are returning to the environment where they can be used by other living organisms. Let's understand in short what is energy transfer. Now, each consumer level of the food pyramid. In food webs also there is transfer of energy and nutrients. Each consumer level of the food pyramid utilizes approximately 10% of the ingested nutrients to build new tissue. This new tissue represents food for the next feeding level. The remaining energy is lost in the form of heat and unavailable chemical energy. Eventually, the energy in an ecosystem is lost and is radiated from the earth. Thus, an ecosystem cannot survive without the constant input of energy from the sun. Now, we are going to come to the trophic levels of the food web. Keeping this picture in mind, listen to what I am saying. Now, the food web organisms are also arranged according to their trophic levels. The trophic levels for an organism refers to how it fits within the overall food web and is based on how an organism feeds. There are two main designations. We know that autotrophs and heterotrophs. Who are autotrophs, students? Autotrophs make their own food. And who are heterotrophs? They do not. Autotrophs are the plants, heterotrophs are the consumers or the animals. Within this broad designation, there are 5 main trophic levels, or 4 you can say: producers, consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and quaternary. And there are some predators also. Now the food web shows us how these different trophic levels within various food chains interconnect with one another, as well as the flow of energy through the trophic levels within an ecosystem. Now we'll understand the trophic levels one by one. Primary producers make their own food via photosynthesis. We know this. Photosynthesis uses the sun's energy. Plants use the light energy, that is the natural light which is derived from the sun or the solar energy, to make food by converting its light energy into chemical energy. Now the primary producers, we all know, plants and algae. These organisms are known as autotrophs. Now the primary consumers, when we talk about primary consumers, they are those animals that eat the primary producers. They are called primary as they are the first organisms to eat the primary producers. Students, get this very clear. Who are the primary consumers? They are the first organisms. They are the first primary who eat the first organisms to eat the primary producers who make their own food. They are also known as herbivores. As I said, elephants, rabbits, deers, moose, all of them are primary consumers. Then we come to the secondary consumers. Secondary consumers, what is it? They consist of organisms that eat primary consumers, since they eat the animals that eat the plants. Now, when they eat these animals that eat the plants, these animals are called carnivorous or omnivorous. Carnivores eat animals while omnivores consume both, we know, animals and plants. Now, as humans, bears are also considered omnivores and they are an example of secondary consumer. Similar to secondary consumer, now if you look at the diagram or the table over here, the secondary consumer, the tertiary consumers can be carnivorous or omnivorous. The difference being that secondary consumers eat other carnivores. Now, what is the best example for this? It is an eagle. Then the level which comes out to is the predators. Now, what are these predators? They are at the top because they do not have natural predational skills. That is the lion. Organisms as decomposers. Now, if we know about decomposers or what you say, reducers. So organisms which are known as decomposers consume dead plants and animals and break them down. Who are decomposers? Fungi, we know, bacteria. Other organisms which are known as detrivores, I have also spoken about, consume dead organic matter. So who is a detrivore? Vulture. So these are the trophic levels. Over here you all can see on the uh, first, second, and third stage. The plants are the primary producers. The grasshopper or the ground squirrel is the second primary consumer. The third second primary consumer is the scorpio, and the fox, golden eagle are the fourth tertiary consumers. How does it move on from autotrophs to herbivores? From herbivores to primary was the first carnivores to consume primary consumers, secondary carnivores. Now, in middle of this all, as we know about energy flow, we studied about energy flow, energy movement also. We need to more know more about it. Energy flows, as I have discussed, through the different trophic levels. It begins with the energy from the sun that autotrophs use to produce food. This energy is transferred up to the levels of different organisms. At each level, this energy is transferred at the primary producer level, the carnivore level, the secondary consumer level, the tertiary consumer level, and consumed by members of all the levels that are above them. Then 10% of the energy that is transferred from one trophic level to the next is converted to biomass. Now, students, this is very important. When it is transferred from one trophic to another trophic level, it is converted to biomass. Now, what does biomass refer to? Biomass refers to the overall mass of an organism, or the mass of all organisms put together that exist in a given trophic level. What is biomass, students, in simple terms? It refers to the overall mass of an organism, or the mass of all the organisms that exist in a given trophic level. Since organisms give out energy to move around and go about their daily activities, only a part of the energy is consumed, as said. So, energy movement or energy flow is one and the same thing. Now let's understand the next topic, that is the types of food webs. Now when we talk about the types of food webs, there are different types of food web representations. What are those? Topological webs, flow webs, interaction webs. Topological webs, these food webs simply indicate a feeding relationship. Flow webs, bioenergetic webs or flow webs include information on the strength of the feeding interaction. Interaction web, in interaction, the arrow shows how one group influences another. Now, the different types of food webs, there are a number of different types of food webs which differ in how they are constructed and what emphasis it lays upon, and the relation to the organisms in a particular ecosystem is shown. Now scientists can use this connectance and interaction food webs along with the energy flow, the fossil and functional food webs. So what are the different food webs we'll study now? More so beyond this is connectance food webs. Now what does this show? It actually shows connections. It shows interactions, or it shows one species being consumed by an other species through the use of arrows. All of these arrows are equally weighted. The degree and strength of the consumption of one species by another is not depicted. Then there's interaction food web. Similar to connectance food webs, these scientists use arrows in interaction webs to show one species being consumed by another. But the arrows used are weighed to show the degree or strength of consumption. In connectance food web, students, the weight is not calculated. Here, the degree of strength of consumption of one species by another is weighted. The arrows depicted in such arrangements can be wider, bolder, or darker to denote the strength of consumption. If one species typically consumes another, if the interaction between species is very weak, the arrow can be very narrow or not present. Energy flow food webs. This is another type of food web. What is energy flow food webs? Energy flow food webs show the relationship between organisms in an ecosystem by quantifying by quantifying and showing the energy flux between organisms. There's another type of food web which is fossil food webs. Food webs can be dynamic and the food relation within an ecosystem change over time. Now, what happens in fossil food webs? The scientists attempt to reconstruct the relationship between the species and the available evidence, proof from the fossil records. Then functional food webs. Functional food webs show the relationship between organisms in an ecosystem by showing how different populations, students listen to this carefully, in this type of food web, functional food web, it shows how different populations influence the growth rate of other populations within the environment. Let's understand and see this. Soil food web, aquatic food web in forest, food web in grasslands, food web in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. This is the picture of the soil food web. This is aquatic food web where different types of marine animals are there. Food web in forests. So all the different kinds of animals, how they are interconnected, intertwined with one another. The grassland food web. This was a common food chain with which I explained you all through an example. The definition of food chain: grass is eaten by a grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by a rabbit or a frog, and the frog is eaten by a snake. Food web in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem, all those trophic levels are given. At each level, how they are connected and intertwined. This shows talks about the food webs in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. Now, what is the significance of this food web? Basically, food webs show us how energy moves through an ecosystem, from the sun to the producers to the consumers. This interconnectedness of how organisms are involved in this energy transfer within an ecosystem is a very important thing to understand through food webs, and it helps us, students, basically it helps us how to apply this interconnection to the real world science. Now, food webs distinguish levels of producers and consumers by identifying and defining the importance of animal relationships and food sources, beginning with primary producers such as plants, insects, and herbivores. Food webs are important tools in understanding that plants are the foundation of all ecosystems and food chains, sustaining life by providing nourishment and oxygen needed for survival and reproduction. The food web provides stability also to the ecosystem. Now, when we talk about when toxic substances or poisons are introduced into the ecosystem, there can be devastating effects. Bioaccumulation and biomagnification are important concepts. Now, bioaccumulation means the accumulation of a substance like a poison or a contaminant in an animal. And biomagnification refers to the buildup and increase in concentration of said substances as it is passed from one level to the other. That is, one trophic level to the other trophic level in a food web. This increase in toxic substances can have a profound impact on the species and on the ecosystem. Now, for example, the man-made synthetic chemicals do not break down easily or quickly and can build up in animals' fatty tissues. So these substances are known as persistent organic pollutants. Marine environment, if you take for that matter, they are common examples of how these toxic substances can move from phytoplankton to zooplankton, then to fish, and then eat the zooplankton, then to the other fish. So it goes on. Suppose by analyzing, now these levels, they actually cause a number of issues like reproductive problems, development issues through their young ones, as well as the immune system issues. If we analyze and understand food webs, scientists through that can show how and predict how substances may move through the ecosystem. They are then better about to help prevent or prevention of this bioaccumulation and biomagnification of these toxic substances in the environment through intervention. So as put it all, it is very important wherein we need to study food webs in detail, as it gives a lot of knowledge to scientists, and their predictions and their research and theories and their solutions are based on these, wherein they can help eradicate bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Now coming to the difference between food chain and food web. Now simple this difference between food chain and food web is, it refers to a natural system by which energy is transmitted from one organism to another. Food web, it consists of a number of interconnected food chains. It is a community of intertwined food chains. Let us understand through the differences and more information about food chain and food web. While a food web contains all constituent food chains in an ecosystem, food chains are of different construct. A food web can be composed of multiple food chains, some that can be very short, while others may be very much longer. Food chains follow the flow of energy as it moves through the food chain. The starting point is the energy from the sun and is traced as it moves through the food chain. This movement is typically linear from one organism to another. Now, for example, a short food chain may consist of plants that use the sun's energy to produce their own food through photosynthesis, along with the herbivore who consumes these plants. When the herbivores are eaten by two different carnivores, these carnivores are killed or die through the decomposers in the chain breakdown by the carnivores. This brief chain is one of the many parts of the overall food web that exists in an ecosystem. Other food chains, students, other food chains in the food web for this particular ecosystem may be very similar to the example, which is different, which may be much different. Since it is composed of all food chains in an ecosystem, the food web will show how the organisms in an ecosystem interconnect with each other. Now let's understand this food chain. It refers to a natural system by which energy is transmitted from one organism to another. It consists of a number of interconnected food chains. The member of higher trophic level feed upon a single type of organism. Member of higher trophic level feed upon many organisms in food web. In food chain, it does not have any effect on improving the adaptability and competitiveness of the organisms. Wherein the food webs, it improves the adaptability and competitiveness of the organism. The example here is carrots, rabbit, snake, and eagle. Example in food web is a hawk might also eat a mouse, a squirrel, a frog, or some other animal. The snake may eat a beetle. So that's how the chain of the food web grows. Now coming to the next part, that is the function of the ecosystem. Let's understand what is the function of the ecosystem. When we talk about the functions of the ecosystem, basically they keep our air and water clean. They help regulate our climate. They provide us with sources of food, shelter, and clothing. These are the things for us and for all life if they are healthy. Now, more often to keep them functioning and healthy, we have to give some uses of that ecosystem, such as resource extraction, water disposal, or land development. Nutrient cycle. Autotrophic plants. Now, how do this help? Autotrophic plants obtain a number of inorganic nutrients from the environment, which becomes a component of organic matter. From autotrophs nutrient goes other living constituents and again in the environment with the help of decomposers. So there is a circulation which is happening between the living and non-living organisms. Flow of energy. Autotrophic plant has ability to change radiant energy to chemical energy and photosynthesis by photosynthesis. Part of this energy is consumed by autotrophic organic compounds, growth, and other metabolic reactions. The remaining chemical energy is called net primary production, which is used in bodybuilding of autotrophic plants. Now, organisms obtain this organic compounds and energy from autotrophic organic compounds are used in bodybuilding, whereas energy is used in growth and maintenance. The flow of energy in ecosystem is unidirectional, that is, it grows from producers to other living organisms, and the energy lost step of its transfer from one organism to an other. The next function of the ecosystem is the interrelation. No ecosystem behaves as an isolated system. Different ecosystems exchange biotic and abiotic materials. In an ecosystem, different components are linked together by a web of their dimensional and highly complex interrelation. The plants provide food and shelter, water, and animals supply carbon dioxide to plants and helps in dispersal and pollination. Different animals are further interrelated in the food of another. When plant and animal die, their bodies are broken down by a number of scavengers and decomposers, due to which raw material releases into soil and used by autotrophic plants. The next function, the fourth function, is waste treatment. Waste treatment is recovery of nutrients and removal or breakdown of excess nutrients and compounds. Example, pollution, contribution, detoxification. Sixth point is the regulation of climate. Now, regulation of global temperature, precipitation, and other climatic processes. Greenhouse regulation. Disturbance regulation. Storage, damping, and other responses to environmental, example, fluctuations. Storm protection, flood control, drought recovery, and other habit fluctuation responses. The last one, seventh one, is cybernetics. Ecosystem maintains a functional balance between various components. This phenomenon is called homeostasis. It is achieved by a number of limitations, which is called cybernetics. Now, students, in this chapter, we spoke about the functions of the last what we spoke about is the function of the ecosystem. Look at this picture of food chain. This is the food chain, and how n number of food chains comprise of food web, make a community of a food web. You can have a look at this. How does the energy flow, where the energy movement I had spoken about. So students, in this class, what I have completed is the functions of ecosystem. That's the nutrient cycle, cybernetics, regulation of climate, regulation, the waste treatment, the interrelation, the flow of energy. What I completed was the different types of web which I had discussed. The different types of webs which I have discussed are the functional webs, the connectance food webs, the energy flow food webs, fossil food, the functional food, all of those. What is the importance of food webs or the significance of food webs? The energy movement, the difference between food web and food chain.